Hello everyone and welcome to the Daryl Talks podcast. Here today we've got Greg West and he is a man of many skills. We're going to find out a lot more. It's going to be good. So welcome, Greg.
Thanks, Daryl. That's a very complimentary introduction, which I'm not sure I'll live up to, but we'll have a go.
Before we start, let's just get the icebreakers out the way. First question. If you could invite 3 people, dead or alive, celebrities, to a dinner party or a day out, who would those 3 be?
I'm going to break your rule as well, because I'm having one person that isn't a celebrity and it's not negotiable. Do you want me to start with that one?
Yes, Start with that one.
Okay, we'll start with that one. See, I'm causing trouble already. It's like literally just started. So, my biological dad, I would have, because I've never met him. He died before I was born, and don't need a big R or anything like that. It's just it's something I've lived with, and it's what it is. It is what it is. Okay. But I would love to meet him, have the chance to meet him. And yeah, if you're gonna have a dinner party, that's my rule breaker.
Yeah, see, it's a bit awkward if I then go.
You can't, can you?
No, you absolutely not. My rules. No, that's fine.
So
that's a very good answer.
We'll get back to people within the rules. We'll go Professor Brian Cox.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen him live and seen him on TV, as a lot of people will have done. And I just think a lot of stuff he talks about is like fascinating. It's the stuff that kind of blows your mind. All the kind of my particular favourite is quantum entanglement.
What is that?
We haven't got time, please.
2 minutes in.
So we've got my dad, Brian Cox, and just a young fit Liz Hurley, maybe.
Ooh.
Bedazzled era Liz Hurley.
Second question. Oh my god! I thought I touched your hand then.
At least you didn't close your eyes when you did it. I can tell you a funny story about that.
Oh my god! Just tell me now.
Well, now?
Yeah.
So, in my work life, went to a meeting. I was sat there with a group of people that I'd not worked with before or sat with before in a different office. And it was their morning meeting. Felt a hand on my leg. Just sat there. So we sat in a kind of semicircle type thing. And this lady next to me, never met before, has got a hand on my leg and sort of half starts stroking my leg. Bit awkward. Didn't like to say anything. I think she kind of realised, pulled her hand away quite rapidly, as you would do. Yeah, once the meeting had finished, she was like, "I'm really sorry. I just drifted off and I thought you were my husband."
Oh my god.
Never. It's just this little in-joke we've had ever since, because I'd never met her before. But
do you still speak with her?
Occasionally, yeah, not that often, because it's a kind of professional thing, so it's only as and when, but yeah.
Yeah, and what does your wife think?
I don't know if she even knows that. She doesn't now.
Yeah, which it'd be rude for her not to listen.
Yeah.
That's one listener.
Yeah, one listener. She only because she'd be stalking me. She'd be like picking up on every word. I will be in trouble. No matter what I've said, I'll be in trouble.
Second question. What is your go-to karaoke song?
Go-to karaoke song. Tricky one. I'm going to go for some Elton John.
Yes.
Maybe your song?
Oh, one of my all-time favourite songs.
Yeah, great track. It's one of my daughter's favourite songs. It always makes me think of her. So, yeah, maybe go that one, though I would murder it and ruin it for life.
Third and final question is, if you were to describe yourself as a vegetable, and it has to be a vegetable, now I know that you're a rule breaker. I don't want any fruit sneaking in there. What vegetable would it be and why?
So, is rhubarb a vegetable or is that a fruit? It's vegetable, isn't it?
It's vegetable.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll go rhubarb. Purely and simply because it is a nickname that my wife has for me occasionally when she's feeling nice.
How does that nickname come about?
So this, not long after we were first together, I don't think people want to hear this. I'm not sure I want to repeat it either. But so we were having a conversation, and at that point, early days of relationship, and I was like trying to be my best version of me. Yeah. Which has long gone. And I think we were chatting on the phone, hadn't seen each other for a little while, and I think I came up with the fantastic line of something along the lines of, "I miss you more than rhubarb misses custard." It's not sweet, is it? It's just like a delusional 19, 20-year-old, just kind of like...
That's nice. Saying that, Liz still calls me arsehole. So that's stuck since 16. So let's get into it. How do we know each other?
Right, so I met you, Daryl, when you were looking to buy your first home. Professionally, that's kind of what I do, mortgages, and everything to do with that sort of side of things.
What is your job title?
Mortgage advisor, if you want to call it that. It almost done. Yeah, it kind of dumbs it down a little bit, but yeah, that's fine. In terms of what people would kind of refer to me as if they didn't know me that well, they'd probably say, yeah, mortgage advisor.
Yeah. Before we get into that, you helped us get into a house, and we were saying this just before we started, that when we first walked in, we literally had like nothing. We had a bit of money in the bank. We've never tried for a mortgage or anything like that before. And now, fast forward 7 years nearly, 7 years, 31st of October was when we got the keys. We've got 2 children, a dog, a house that's lived in. That is weird.
It's just life.
Yeah.
It's not weird. You've done what a lot of people aspire to do. I'm in a really privileged and kind of fortunate position where I get to help people do that, and that's all it is. I get to help people. I can't make it happen. People have still got to have saved or got access to a deposit, perhaps got a job. So there's lots of things that, people come to me basically with a bag of ingredients, and it's for me to kind of put those ingredients together and hopefully help them along the way to whatever it is they're trying to achieve.
A mortgage advisor, like what is that?
It's somebody who gets paid to sit around drinking coffee and making new mates. Sometimes.
Well, you said it, not me.
I think it's one of the best jobs I can ever think of anybody ever doing, in that, and I know I've told you before, I love it because, joking aside, I get to be a fly on the wall in people's lives and get to see people like yourselves go from kind of young first-time buyer to get in the house, having some kids, and just generally through their lives, I kind of get to be a little part of that.
You're just so excited about what you do, and that's quite.
I do life.
So, I just remember, I walked in, and there's this lanky guy in a suit.
Yeah, that's me.
Smiling ear to ear, and I was like, "Where's the mortgage advisor guy?" Because in my head, I pictured old,
I'm getting there,
grumpy,
getting there too.
But you were just really excitable, and it was such a shock.
I've always taken the view that mortgages are pretty dull. There's no getting away from it.
Yeah.
If I start talking to you about interest rates and fixed rates and capped rates and early repayment charges and stuff, if it's all important for you to understand, but if I'm focusing on that, A, it's really dull. And secondly, I'm missing the bigger picture, which is what's going on in somebody's life and how can I help them get to the next bit they want to get to.
Yeah.
Because it's all the industry term, if you like, is soft facts. It's for what's going on behind the scenes. That are all going to be important when it comes to putting maybe a recommendation together, doing that part of it. It's the soft facts, what's going on in life, that's more important in terms of formulating advice than do we want a 2-year fixed or a 5-year fixed? Because if I just ask people that, they'll tell me, and it'll be based upon nothing other than probably a whim.
Yeah.
Or what their mate down the pub's told them.
No, and we did that exact thing with you. Yeah. And we got so lucky. I'm sure there were many people before and after that didn't get so lucky as us. But when we came in to do our next one, we got it fixed, and then the hike happened.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's seen massive rises in mortgage costs and interest rates over the last sort of two or 3 years. I'm not going to pretend that we could foresee that. Nobody could. A lot of stuff happened. Liz Truss, not that I'm saying it's entirely her fault, but Liz Truss's budget, what was going on in Ukraine, we'd just come out of COVID. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of it global stuff as well, that nobody really foresaw coming. I don't care who you are, how lucky somebody's advice might have felt.
Yeah.
There was a large slice of luck in it, and there'll be lots of other people that weren't quite so lucky and were coming out of fixed deals around that time.
That's what I mean. You could quite easily have gone, well, it's my job. I've got to see these things happen.
No, don't get me wrong. There's a degree of expectation of what we think may happen. There's some patterns that happen. There's some trends we can look at. But again, I'd always go back to what I said to you a minute ago. It's about the client's circumstances. That's what should be leading any kind of advice process and any recommendation, not what's going on around the world. Because what's going on around the world can change really quickly and is pretty unpredictable. And if nothing else, COVID in the last few years has taught us we don't know what's around the corner. So I've always stuck by that principle. It's what's going on in the client's life is what dictates the advice, not trying to second guess, because I haven't got a crystal ball.
Yeah.
And my clients will hear me say this a lot. I don't have a crystal ball.
I always say these are hairy, not crystal.
I like that line.
You should say that to your customers.
I might use it.
Are they clients or customers? Does it depend who they are?
I think it varies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it varies.
Because you're not really selling anything, are you?
No, I mean, technically, we only get paid if people are taking out mortgages and insurances and the bits and pieces that go along with it. That's how we get paid. That's how we earn a living. So at a real kind of bare level, I guess it is sales. But it again comes back to what I said to you. It's about advice, making sure somebody's getting the most suitable products, if you want to call them products, to help them get where they want to be. So technically it's sales, but we never ever think of it like that. I mean, and the FCA, to be fair, Financial Conduct Authority, they put in place quite a few things to stop it being salesy. So we can't have like targets as such. We can't say, right, you need to do 10 of these a month or 20 of those a month, things like that. The industry's not, or it shouldn't be, in most cases, it shouldn't be like that.
No, that makes sense. And
it's heavily regulated, and rightly so. So the advice should always be around what's right for the client, not what might be right for the company selling, if you want to use that term, the products.
Are you Cornwall's Martin Lewis?
Can I say Bellend?
You can.
No, that's harsh. my main issue with Martin Lewis isn't Martin Lewis itself. It's the number of customers and clients, or whatever we want to call them, that will say to me, Martin Lewis says this, Martin Lewis says that. And it's like, well, that's great. And in terms of generic advice that might be useful, there might be some substance to it. But we're back to individuality, and your circumstances might not be the same as Joe Bloggs from Brighton. So we're back to individually tailored advice, which is where Martin Lewis kind of can't possibly offer the right advice for everybody, because everybody's different.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, it's one of those. Martin Lewis, great for some kind of generic stuff, but it's certainly, I'm no Martin Lewis.
That's really interesting, actually. People see him like a god.
Yeah, they do. He's got like a cult following, and people swear by him.
My mum made him cry.
Wow. Tell me how.
So she did a phone-in on his show, and she explained her story and how Martin Lewis's advice helped. And again, like you said, he wasn't giving specific advice, but that generic advice really helped Mum. Yeah. And her story on live TV made him cry, and he won a national television award for that moment.
Crocodile tears? No, I mean, like I say, there's a lot of good stuff it'll come out with, and absolutely you can save some people money. So, as much as I joke about Martin Lewis being a bellend, there's some good stuff that he does. The flip side of all of that is that everything he does is sponsored in one way or another. On his website is full of sponsors. He's paid a huge amount of money from a lot of the companies that he's kind of suggesting we all go to and use. And like anything, there's very much two sides to it, and there's somebody trying to make money at the other side of it, i.e. Martin Lewis.
That's really interesting. I love that. I would, because me being naive, wouldn't necessarily have thought about the other side of it.
At the end of the day, anybody who comes to us or comes to me for advice and help with a mortgage, it's my job. I need to do it to get paid. But so I don't shy away from that. I'm just quite honest about it, and hopefully it's fairly obvious anyway. I'm not doing it for charity, but I think it always comes down to, is the advice coming from the right place, kind of ethically, and even, I would say from the heart.
Yeah.
I've known a lot of my clients for a long time and helped them through all sorts of different situations, and you do become emotionally attached to a lot of those clients in kind of a professional way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So are you just like an absolute know-it-all with mortgages?
No, nobody is. And again, the reason I say that is because the lenders' criteria, FCA guidelines, it's always changing all the time, particularly the lending criteria side of it. So you can think you might know it inside out 1 minute, but it'll change for next week or the next month. And when we're dealing with kind of more than 80 different lenders and they're all making little changes, absolutely no way you can know it all. It's just impossible. Now, we've got a lot of software and a lot of stuff that helps us sort through that.
You've got the tools.
We've got the tools to help us through that, if you like, minefield, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
That's the term we use to kind of make people think they need us. But no, the reality is there's a lot of stuff out there, impossible for everybody to know all of it. We try and keep on top of it all. And obviously, as cases come to us on a case-by-case basis, there'll be different bits of criteria that we'll need to be looking at. And yeah, it's the less exciting bit of the job. I like the bit where I'm sat on a sofa talking to somebody about what they want to do in life.
Yeah, of course.
The sort of back in the office, staring at screens for hours on end doing the research, although it's important, far less exciting.
Because you do a lot behind the scenes,
Tons, yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah, for every hour or two with a client, we'll probably spend, and it varies again from case to case, but it could be 4 to 12 hours, sometimes longer, on back office stuff. It's far more time consuming. I think sometimes when you're talking to a client, you're saying, right, this is the procuration fee we might get from a lender and things like that, and they're probably sat there thinking, oh my God, they're getting all that money. And don't get me wrong, it might well be a fairly substantial chunk sometimes, but what people don't always see is how much goes on, the time that's gone into it behind the background.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, how do you make your money?
So we sometimes charge, I say sometimes, we've got some direct fees we'll charge to a client. We try and be really fair about it, and I think if you were to compare our fees to most people's, they're like really good, I think.
Yeah.
We also get procuration fees, or you might want to call it a commission if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
From the lender on completion, and that's how we make up the bulk of our money. The fees we charge are a sort of fairly small proportion of our income, and where we can waive the fee, we do try to. So if it's a straightforward kind of product transfer or something like that, we generally wouldn't charge. Again, it's about fairness. The heart of everything we try and do is to be as fair as possible.
Yeah, and what you do, how easy is it, say for me who knows absolutely nothing, to be able to get to the same result as you?
To get to the same result, I'd say in some cases you purely and simply wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
And that's only because we've got access to stuff, including lenders and products, that the general public haven't got access to.
Wow.
There's some kind of intermediary specific lenders out there.
Like the banks, for example.
Your general banks, if you wanted a mortgage from Halifax, for example, you'll probably be able to get the same products that we'll be able to get most of the time. Although, again, we might get some exclusives, but generally speaking, what you can get will be the same as what we can get. The trick to it, I guess, is of the Halifax's, 40, 50 different products that they might have on offer at a time, which one's the right one? Well, hopefully we can kind of find the most suitable one for you. And then you bounce down to the criteria minefield, because you might say, right, I know Halifax is a big old lender. They're going to have some good rates. I've seen them in the papers and Martin Lewis's website, all that kind of stuff. Really good interest rates. But can you actually get a mortgage with Halifax? And when I say can you might want to buy a house, for example, that, maybe it's got a thatched roof, or it's grade 1 listed, or perhaps it's got Mundic concrete, which is common down in, well, not common, but a common theme down in Cornwall. Yeah. Perhaps you've got weird income. There's so many little quirks that you might come to me with that it might be that Halifax, or for the purpose of balance, a different lender nationwide here.
Other lenders are available.
But it may be that the lender you're thinking of that's a big high street bank just isn't ever going to entertain what you want to do, because what you want to do is just outside of what they want to do.
Because obviously nowadays, income stream can be all sorts. Yeah. Have you had an OnlyFans?
I've had a lap dancer.
Have you?
Yeah. I've seen OnlyFans on people's bank statements. 100%.
No way.
But no, ultimately, they're like anybody who's self-employed.
Yeah.
They will have an accountant who will do some books for them. They'll do a tax return and will use the figures that the accountant's provided to sort their income out. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure they probably get some income in cash that the accountant never knows about.
Of course.
And obviously, if that's the case, we don't know about it either.
No. And to be fair, if they're buying a house, they must be bloody good.
Quite possibly. But yeah, it takes all sorts. And there's very few professions that probably I haven't come across in the last. Here's a good analogy, going back to your question about how easy is it for somebody to go in and sort out their own mortgage and get the same result. If push came to shove and you needed to remove one of your teeth, no dentist available, could you do it?
Yes.
Yeah, you could. Of course you could. And your tooth would be removed. Therefore, you'd have the same result as if you'd gone to the dentist. Would it have been quite painful getting there? Would you have possibly done other damage to yourself in the process? Maybe. And I guess that's the best analogy I can give you.
No, that's really good. Yeah, it's true. Are you the director?
Yeah, so it's my company. It's Your Ideal Mortgage. It's my company. I'm a director. We've got a couple of other advisors as well. But yeah, I've been doing it for quite some time.
So how did you end up going into that?
So previous life, work-wise, I started out life as a baker kind of fell into it. Didn't especially choose to go into that, but I went to college, did my A-levels, did all the kind of stuff people do, and like a lot of people of that age, 18 years old or so, didn't really know what I wanted to be doing. I was seeing a girl at the time whose dad owned a bakery, worked part-time in there during the summer holidays kind of stuff, really enjoyed it, decided, yeah, let's give this a go. And I turned out I was, without blowing my own trumpet, but I was quite good at it. It was a little bakery in St. Keen called Chapel Bakery, it was at the time.
So you're born and bred Cornish?
I'm actually from Yorkshire, but I've lived down in Cornwall since I was about 3 years old. So,
so you
close to it, but not quite.
Anything up to
But all the life I know of is of being of Cornwall.
Not putting kettle on.
Nah. It's grim up north.
Going to shop.
Fell into bakery. I actually got a scholarship with the Master Bakers Association, which was a fairly rare thing. You had to be pretty decent at it to get that.
Do not make a joke, Daryl. Do not.
Master Bakers
do not make
Association.
So I was like that in my teens, you know.
Yeah, I know, Daryl. I know.
Needed a hammer for that sock.
Nice. I've got visions of American Pie now. So yeah, I did that for probably 11 years or so.
So you did a fair old stint.
Yeah, I did bakery quite a while. Started off in smaller traditional bakeries and went into kind of supermarket bakeries, which to be fair was where the money was. Traditional bakeries are great, but there wasn't any money in that.
It's interesting because actually those are the more artisan.
They are, and when I say there's no money in it if you own them, not so much if you're just a just
like a Saturday boy sort of thing.
Yeah. But if you get into sort of supermarket stuff like that, if you work your way up, become a manager, that kind of stuff within the bakery, then the money was pretty reasonable. Yeah, didn't really like getting up at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning on a regular basis.
That is the downside.
As you mentioned earlier, also quite lanky. Not a term I like, but you're right.
Sorry, my apologies.
No. I'm not going to hang you out to dry on that because it's absolutely accurate. Decided career change was afoot. I had a medical thing as well at the time, which kind of made me reassess things a bit. And again, fell into financial services, not something I was looking for. It was the sort of random thing that I do in life, where I saw an advert in the back of a newspaper that was offering like silly money, no experience needed, but if you've got retail experience, you may be suited, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Didn't exactly scream financial services, but stuck my CV in, went for an interview, turned up to this hotel in Swindon where there was like about 100 different people who had gone for this interview. A few of us were selected from that. I got a bollocking for not wearing a suit to it. I didn't know what job I was going for, so.
No, what were you wearing? Trackies?
I wasn't trackies, but.
Like I think jeans and polos.
I think I'd gone shirt and tie, but I didn't know what the job was for. And in retail, shirt and tie is probably overdoing it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I did shirt and tie, got a bollocking from a bloke about not wearing a suit, the bloke who interviewed me, but somehow managed to blag it through and got through to another interview up in Leicester, which turned out, by then I knew it was financial services, didn't know it at Swindon, and then went through this whole apprentice style sort of, I think it was 8 weeks, 10 weeks induction, of which 15 of us started, and I think there was only 5 by the end of it got through.
Did you have any role models or mentors as such?
Professionally or just in life generally?
Oh, well, either, to be honest. It can be a broader question.
Within the industry and within that firm, I had a guy called Paul Baker who was my...
who genuinely was a master baker at one point.
No, see, the bakery theme continues. He was my mentor stroke manager whilst I was there, and he taught me a lot, and I had a hell of a lot of respect for him. Yeah. So in a weird way, I would say I definitely looked up to him at the time. Because
imagine that sort of thing. You'd need somebody to lean on, wouldn't you?
I think throughout life we always kind of bump into people or develop a relationship with people for one reason or another that we end up like really looking up to and sort of saying, do you know what, I'd like to be a bit like them. There's a guy in Plymouth who runs a financial firm in Plymouth, financial services firm, a bit broader services than what we offer. They do investments and pensions and things, called Paul Molyneux. And again, I was there for a couple of years after the guys that I worked for up in Leicester, and had a really good relationship with the guy. He was almost father-like in the way he looked after me there. Yeah, again, I think when I left there, I only left there because I wanted to be more like him, and I couldn't do it working for somebody else's company. I needed my own company to do it. And I told him that. I said when I left, I was like, literally, I'm sorry, like working here, love you to bits, but I want to be you. and I can't be you here.
How did you go about starting a business?
It was fairly simple, I guess, in some ways, because I was already working in the industry. It wasn't like I was going to start a completely new industry. It wasn't like I was trying to sell a product and had to get it marketed and things like that. And a lot of kind of client base, if you like, already knew me. It was a case of I did it from home for a little while, which is the easiest way to start. No overheads, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the big plunge was opening up the office we're still in now in Liscard.
And so when did you meet your wife?
Bakery. Back to bakery again.
No way.
So bakery's played quite a big role in my life, in a weird way.
She came in via buns.
Oh, I was a bakery manager at the time, and she was a packer. So she like wrapped bread and stuck labels on it and stuff and put it out on the shelves.
Where was this? In St Keen?
No, this was. I'd moved on from then by then. So this was in Safeway as it was at the time.
What? Safeway in
Liscard? Yeah, Safeway Liscard.
No way.
Yeah, so we met in there, and yeah, the rest I guess is history, and we've been together a long time since.
How did she deal with you going from like having like a sturdy job and then taking a risk?
She tried to talk me out of so many things. Literally, I'd known for a long time that I didn't want to be in bakery forever, and always felt that I could do better is not the right word, because there's nothing wrong with bakery and I loved it, but I felt I could do something different, but maybe it was more me, because I fell into bakery, and as much as I liked it, I was decent at it. It wasn't a career choice as such.
Yeah.
So I had all sorts of weird and wacky ideas. So I was come up with inventions left, right and centre, and then usually find that they've already been invented.
Yeah.
A squaggle was one of my favourites.
What's a squaggle?
Well, it's like a square bagel without the hole.
That's good bread, isn't it?
Yeah, basically.
Squaggle.
But you know what it's like when you're buttering a bagel? You end up with half a butter go down the hole in the middle, and it's like it's just not a great shape, is it?
So it's like the consistency of a bagel.
So yeah, basically the consistency and dough type, etc. The way it's manufactured as a bagel. So it's not quite the same as like a slice of toast. It's still a bagel. But anyway, it turns out squagles had already been invented.
No.
But why can't you buy them in the shops? Because you can't. It's a brilliant idea.
Right, that's it.
I also I could sit here for about 3 hours and talk to you about inventions that have never happened.
Give me one more.
An ocean-going Zorb.
Ocean-going?
Yeah, so you know like those big balls you can climb inside and roll down a hill?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of, in my mind, invented one that you could like use instead of like a boat, because you can't capsize it. It's like a ball. It's going to float. It's impossible to capsize.
Yeah.
So, very safe.
Because they do water zorbing, don't they?
Yeah, but that's like on a small scale. I'm talking about something a little.
Channel,
yeah, and I thought, what a great idea! You could cross the channel, across the Atlantic in a Zorb. But literally, you could have it almost like a hamster wheel. So inside, you've got like a ladder that goes around, so you can kind of paddle your way around and stuff. But all from the safety of your Zorb. It's probably not practical.
I bet you someone somewhere.
Somebody somewhere for charity might do it once, but it's not a business.
I challenge anybody listening to this to let me know, do their research, and tell me if it's happened.
Wow. I mean, if it has.
If not, Greg has said he's going to do that for charity.
Nope. I don't have the time for that. Sadly, I don't have the time.
Imagine the training. So what else have we got you on it for?
Well, the reason you asked me on was to talk about mini golf.
At what stage did you start doing mini golf?
So, a little bit of context around it. I play golf.
Okay.
Also, still pay a gym membership, but don't go, because that's what we do in life. But when I was going to the gym at China Fleet, saw a poster on a wall for the English Open mini golf, and we're talking putting through kind of windmills and squirrels' bottoms and things like that.
So why is it not called adventure golf? No, sorry, not crazy golf.
Again, it can be. It falls under many different names, but crazy golf, adventure golf, mini golf, it's essentially all the same thing. There's a governing body in the UK which is called the British Mini Golf Association. So that's why I kind of generally refer to it as mini golf.
Fair.
But crazy golf, adventure golf, all the same. But essentially, I saw this poster, thought, you know what? I think I'm quite good at putting. It's an English Open, which sounds quite exciting. So, yeah, why not have a go? And being an Open, obviously anybody could enter. I was really surprised that there wasn't more local people entered it. Virtually everybody that played on the day when it kind of came around were these tour pros. Mini golf tour pros are a thing.
And they're not midgets.
No, they're not. They're not many people. There are one or two that are quite small.
Is there?
In fairness, again, moving slightly on, but still same topic, Mini golf is so inclusive. Anybody can play. It's one of the few sports that anybody, males, females, disabled. If you can you say disabled now? I don't know. But bottom line is, children, anybody, old people, OAPs, anybody can play. It's one of the few sports that a 6-year-old kid can play against their 80-year-old grandparent, great grandparent. The tour is made up of a real mixture of youngsters, the more elderly, women, men. But so yeah, it's really inclusive. Saw this poster, went along, played in it. Thought I was overdoing it by taking kind of my own golf putter, and a golf ball. Turns out that was like just doesn't even cut the mustard. People were just for context as well. Me and Daryl had a round of mini golf at China Fleet before this.
So my first guest invited me on a date beforehand.
Absolutely.
So I could get in on the action and see exactly what it was like. And I felt like, you watch those like YouTube videos or whatever, or clips on TV where they're interviewing whilst playing golf. Like if we had a camera crew, we could have quite easily have done that.
Yeah.
And also, I played amazing.
Daryl was actually surprisingly good. I put it down to the expert tutelage that he had.
Fortunately, Greg was a very good teacher in telling me, because he had his little green book.
Yeah, my little green book.
So we're at China Fleet, and he pulls out this little green book, and it's got all his own sort of shorthand of which hole, where to aim for.
Full with diagrams for lot.
Diagrams, notes. And so he was reading these out to me. And for once, I actually listened and was able to communicate what I heard with my hand-eye coordination, which is so random. And I played pretty well. But there was a massive difference between the way I played and the way you played. You were so laid back. You could tell that you'd done it before. It was just natural.
I was casual mode. It's like, we're just having a like casual chat, a bit of a catch up. So I haven't seen Daryl for probably a year or so.
Yeah.
So it was nice to have a bit of a catch up.
It was lovely.
It was just nice actually. Daryl was actually really enthusiastic about it as well, to be fair, and quite good. And when he starts getting holes in one and start punching the air, it's like, wow.
And 2 minutes in, I'd already handled your balls.
You had. Hands
he said, have
all
a feel
over
on this.
Yeah.
We are talking about not even a golf ball. What is
like
it?
A mini pool ball.
A mini pool ball.
My ball of choice.
Because they are different. I found out there are different. You can use whatever you like, basically.
Yeah.
On certain
tournaments
and certain
courses. You can use whatever ball you like.
Yeah, so you turned up with your ball and putter.
I did. I turned up with my ball and putter and was drawn out on the day to play with a chap called Sevi Kukielka, who is one of the top players in the country, it turns out. Didn't know that at the time, but this is British rankings. We have a Great Britain team. All these things with mini golf, again, people won't know.
That is madness.
And Sevi's been a regular in the national team for quite a number of years. I don't know how many, but quite a number of years. British number 1 or number 2, whatever he was at the time, starts out with a 7. And by this point, I've kind of realised who he is and that I'm playing with somebody quite good here. So in my mind, I was like, just try and keep up with him as best you can. I think I got a 2 on the first hole and I was like 5 ahead of him straight away and thought, this is nice and easy. Anyway, 3 rounds later and Sevi's well clear of me and I've dropped back somewhat. So yeah, that was my introduction to mini golf and playing with tour professionals. I think I finished top 10-ish, something like that, which was pretty respectable, I thought. From that, I kind of got involved, got chatting to a guy called Martin Williams who...
So is mini golf better than golf?
It's different. I can't say it's better.
Do you have a preference?
No, not really. I like them both. They're just very different. Mini golf is something you can play fairly quickly. You can go out indoors as well. Big advantage in our climate. But mini golf, you can play it with anybody, with your family, your friends, or if you want to take it more seriously at a more competitive level. And you can be round the course in 45 minutes or less. It's not a big time eater. Whereas golf, can't call it proper golf because the mini golf people don't like it. But golf, you're gone for half a day and probably cold and wet in the process. But it's just a different challenge, different thing altogether. Yeah,
and you've got to be pretty bad to lose a ball in mini golf.
Yeah, though you did try.
I did try.
But yeah, it's just very different. With the mini golf though, the biggest event we have each year is the World Championships. So the World Championships played up in Hastings on a really traditional mini golf course by the seaside.
What's a traditional mini golf course?
A lot of the indoor courses now in your kind of shopping centres, places like that, I'd say they're kind of quite more modern. They're usually quite heavily themed. You won't find a windmill with moving parts, stuff like that normally. So traditional stuff is usually by the seaside. Traditional stuff like windmills with the moving blades and bits and pieces. World Champs itself is always on the traditional one.
It's the Nicholas.
The Nicholas, yeah, if you want to call it that. But usually there's like 200 people compete, people from all around the world. There's a guy called Josh Mars who comes over from Australia, known as the Putting Wonder from Down Under. Yeah.
Is it like darts where you're like...
Some people do have names. So we have the Putting Wonder from Down Under.
Greg All Legs West.
Yeah, you could. I don't know. I don't think I've got a polite nickname. Not that anybody's ever said to me yet. We have Mark Chapman, he's English guy. He's won the World Championship a few times. Likes to be known as King Putt. Little twist on the Egyptian.
Why don't you be Tutankhamun?
Tutankhamun.
Yeah, like Tutankhamun.
Yeah, I know where you're going with it.
Okay, good.
I think we can do better. I think we can do better.
So other than just for the ladies, what else do you enjoy about mini golf?
Did you say other than for the ladies? When did the ladies come into it?
I assume you're an absolute babe magnet.
No, most of the people look more like train spotters. I'm doing them a massive disservice when I say that.
World Championships, how did you get on?
I've played in it twice. I think I finished top 50 both times, which it doesn't sound amazingly good, but it's okay.
Out of 200, that means that there's
200 that played. Don't forget this is the world. It sounds of billions.
Yeah,
top 50 out of billions. That's how I like to think of it.
Oh, sorry, yeah. No, but that is very good.
It's decent, and I feel like both times I could have done better. I didn't actually play in it this year. I'm almost on a mini golf sabbatical this year. I've actually been focusing a little bit more on work because kind of apparently I need to earn a living.
It's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, it sucks. So concentrating a little bit more on work and things in Cornwall. The downside to mini golf is that the vast majority of the competitions are dotted around the country, a lot of them in the southeast and kind of 4, 5, 6 hour drives away a lot of the time if you happen to be a resident of Cornwall. Weirdly, going to somewhere like Hale or St Ives feels like driving to Bristol.
Yeah.
And yet
absolutely.
It's the same county.
Yeah.
The joys of Cornwall, but I don't think there's many people who live in Cornwall that would want to live anywhere else.
No, absolutely not.
I'm one of these really lucky people that I love where I live, love my job. I'm fortunate enough to do a few bits outside of work that I enjoy, like the mini golf and bits and pieces. And I suppose my family are alright as well.
What do your family think about your mini golfing? They
largely take the mick. It's one of those things. If you say to somebody, I'm playing professional mini golf, they don't believe you or think it's a massive joke. And I get that. I 100% get it. I'm not offended by it. I just join in the banter, basically.
Yeah, I think that's the better attitude to have, isn't it?
No, I get it. It's because it's like a little bit weird, for want of a better word. On a kind of more serious level, I guess it's a real battle that the sport, if you want to call it a sport, that it faces.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Mini golf, when you're talking about the competitive nature of a national team, things like that, the World Championships, British Open, British Masters, the stuff that's kind of important to people who play mini golf, the fact that it's not really taken that serious, it is a battle because they want it to be serious, and probably rightly so. If you've won a World Championship at darts or whatever it might be, it's like you're on TV and it's a thing. Mini golf, it's a joke.
Yeah, that must be very frustrating. I guess it's like it's like having a world record in
tiddlywinks.
Yeah.
It's almost that sort of thing, yeah. And yet, actually, it's a pretty skilled thing. Across a lot of Europe, it's taken a lot more seriously. So places like Sweden, Czech Republic, believe it or not, mini golf's quite big in some of the Scandinavian countries, and it is taken far more seriously.
So who's the current world champion, do you know?
I think it might be Mark Chapman again. But Mark Chapman he's just won to coincide with the release of his film, King Putt. Did
you say it's a short film?
Yeah, it's a short film. Yeah, it's been released.
Which is funny because it's mini golf.
Mini golf, and it's a short film. Yeah. I don't know how long it is. I haven't watched it, which I probably should do. But I know it has just won an award as well. So there's lots of things going on.
I imagine him with like a big gold chain.
It's not far from it.
Like proper pleated trousers.
Yeah.
The proper bobble hat.
I don't want to offend anybody, so yeah.
No, that's fair enough.
All I'll say is that he's done very well. He's won the World Championships before, Mark. And the top level of a sport, if you're looking at the top handful of players we've got in the country, they are a level above everybody else. There's a lot of people in the British rankings between, I don't know, 10 and 40 that are what we'd all look at and think, yeah, they're good. But the top 4 or 5 are just a different level. Michael Smith, Sevi Kukelka, obviously people like Mark Chapman. Yeah,
Mini-golf,
I'm a mere mortal in comparison to the top 3 or 4. I don't.
Would you ever aspire to get there, or do you think it's a lot of practice and
it's time and practice? I am fairly confident in my own ability that if I committed myself to it, I could get into the probably top 10.
Is it a social event?
Yeah, 100%. So people play, and like I say, it's a nice community in that, generally speaking, there's always going to be exceptions, but the vast majority of people who play, even at a higher level, they're really supportive. They want to encourage people to play and help you along. That side of it is quite nice.
And do you like drinking half pints?
No, we have a baby Guinness.
Yeah, I was going to say it's just shorts.
Yeah, baby Guinness.
There's officials at these tournaments?
There's always a tournament referee.
Yeah.
But nobody walks around following each group or each player.
Do you still mark each other's?
Yeah, you mark each other's cards. So there should be no sort of cheating.
Jiggery pokery, yeah.
Yeah, no cheating, no jiggery pokery. And the bottom line is, you're talking scores of 1 to 3 the vast majority of the time. So it's not like there's a lot to add up and a lot to count.
Yeah, fair.
But yeah, though, having said that, there was controversy at an event, and a long-standing member of the British Mini Golf Association, who was actually the chairman at the time, is no longer, fell foul of some scoring issues. There was even talk of a breakaway tour.
Oh my God.
At one point. I think all that's kind of water under the bridge now to a point.
What's the prizes for winning?
So you don't play in it to make money, let's put it that way.
It's just the ladies.
It's just for ladies. Yes. The prize money at the World Champs.
Yeah.
You're talking a couple of grand if you win it. So that's
my God,
that's pretty reasonable.
That's way more.
But most tournaments, even the Masters and Open stuff like that, the prize money probably doesn't cover the cost of your petrol and accommodation. The sport lacks sponsorship.
So there won't be the Ideal Mortgage Tour.
I did sponsor the Cornish Open.
You did?
Yeah, I did sponsor the Cornish Open. I'm trying to think of some good sponsors, but I can't think who would be a good sponsor.
Mini Cheddars.
Mini Cheddars. Yeah, Mini Cheddars.
Are you getting back to it?
Yeah, so I guess as far as mini golf goes, as I said, I've not really played much this year. My rankings dropped pretty significantly because of that. But yeah, I'm hoping to play possibly the British Open in October this year. But if I don't play in that, then I'll certainly try and pick up a few events next year. Definitely want to play in the World Champs again next year in Hastings. Honestly, I'd recommend anybody who gets the opportunity to play in that to enter it. Go and have a week in Hastings or a few days in Hastings. Play in the World Championships. It's a great event. It's good fun. There isn't, although it's competitive, it's not like there's pressure. It's as fun as you want to make it.
Greg, thank you so much. I have thoroughly enjoyed myself this episode.
Likewise, it's been good to catch up, Daryl.
It's been really good. So there we have it, another crazy episode. And guys, thank you so much for listening. Keep sharing, keep following. I really appreciate it.